The thing that will likely kill Black Ops 6 multiplayer this year is not something I ever thought we would have to worry about from Treyarch. And this is something that arguably has the biggest impact on whether any multiplayer game succeeds or not, and that is going to be the maps. Now, before we even get into the meat of this video, I want you to go ahead and leave your comments below on what you thought of the maps and the Black Ops 6 multiplayer beta. Which ones you thought were good, which ones you thought were bad, just your overall feelings about the maps we're going to have in Black Ops 6 so far, because I am going to be digging into them in this video. But let's go ahead and continue. So ever since the beta ended a few weeks ago, one of the biggest hot topics about Black Ops 6 multiplayer has been the maps. Treyarch has an absolutely amazing track record of giving the multiplayer community some of the best maps we've ever seen in Call of Duty history. I mean, just right off the top of my head, we have iconic maps like Standoff, Raid, Nuketown, Firing Range, Slums, and just so many others in the Treyarch games. They've really given us just so many maps that could be considered as perfection, and that is not a statement to take lightly. They have created such a high standard for map design going all the way back to World at War in 2008. And overall, they have honestly kept up with that standard and pretty much exceeded it in every game going forward. But now, here we are in Call of Duty Black Ops 6, where the recent multiplayer beta that ended has really left a majority of the community worried about the maps we are going to have in this game. And I think I can honestly say this is the first year that has ever happened for a Treyarch title. One of the first headlines for advertising Black Ops 6 multiplayer was that there would be 16 launch maps, which by Call of Duty standards is a very good variety of maps to allow for a unique experience on each map. Shortly after that, they announced that 12 of the 16 maps would be considered normal 6v6 styled maps, and then the other 4 would be described as strike maps, which are made for 2v2 gunfight, but they would also still be playable in the 6v6 game modes. And then we were kind of like, alright, that's a little weird, but cool, I guess. Small maps can be fun and chaotic at times, you know, we'll give it a try. But then we got to the beta, where 5 of the 8 maps available were small maps. And after a decent amount of hours of playtime playing all these small maps in the beta, that's really when my worry for Black Ops 6 multiplayer started to kick in, and I think the same thing happened to a lot of the players. One of the first thoughts I had when playing the beta, even on the medium-sized maps, was like, wow, this is extremely fast-paced even for these medium-sized maps. Between the tactical sprint and all the new Omni movement, getting from point A to point B on any map in this game takes no time at all. And while it has always been a good thing in Call of Duty multiplayer to get back into gunfights within a timely manner, it honestly gets to a point where it could be considered mindless chaos that has no flow or no balance to it. And even some of the maps, like I said, that are described as medium maps feel like they would be considered small maps in any other Call of Duty game. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely know that these small maps have their place in Call of Duty multiplayer, because they gave us a break from the bigger 6v6 multiplayer maps that we were playing 90% of the time and gave us a really fast-paced fun experience for, you know, a match or two. And we've had this going all the way back to COD 4 in 2007. We started out with Shipment, and then in World at War we had Dome, in Modern Warfare 2 we had Rust, and in Black Ops 1 we had the original Nuketown. And then going forward, every single game had those 1 or 2 maps that would be fast-paced, chaotic, and even somewhat unbalanced at times. But the thing that made this a good and positive thing back then is that for every 1 or 2 extremely small maps, we had 10 to 15 normal-sized maps that allowed for a fun, balanced 6v6 Call of Duty experience. And that arguably is what made the Call of Duty multiplayer experience such a success in the first place. Some of those iconic maps I was listing at the beginning of the video, along with so many others, is what made COD multiplayer's 6v6 experience the dominating force that it used to be. Call of Duty was taken so seriously back then because so much thought and care was put into the design and atmosphere of your playing field. It made gunfights fun, it made strategic play fun, it made competitive game modes fun, earning kill streaks, score streaks, and just playing the game in general. It was all made for fun. But now let's take a look at what we are getting this year for Black Ops 6. Treyarch heard some of the feedback about the maps from the Black Ops 6 multiplayer and then made a small post addressing it on Twitter. which by the way is something Call of Duty has never done before concerning map sizes. Now in their post, they started by stating that the core maps will be a majority medium size, and then they listed every map and the size of each map for Black Ops 6 multiplayer. But it turns out that their post states that half of the maps in Black Ops 6 are going to be small maps. And that's not a good thing at all. And before anyone starts commenting, oh, well, the strike maps aren't actually technically considered to be core maps, so actually a majority of the maps are medium-sized, Coffee Man, because those strike maps don't count. Let me stop you right there. If the strike maps are available in the main 6v6 playlist, that automatically makes them a part of the core experience, whether they label them as that or not. This is where it starts to get frustrating and annoying. Like I said before, having one or two small maps, chaotic outliers, can overall be a good thing for the Call of Duty multiplayer experience. But when half of the entire map pool is going to be this mindless, chaotic, unbalanced experience for just mindless gameplay, it begins to get very unfun very quickly. Especially when it comes to having SBMM in the mix, where the game is already screwing everyone over by trying to artificially make everyone have a 1KD ratio. And then on top of that, the omni movement on these small maps going absolutely crazy. It just overall will not be a fun-based COD experience if every single map is a mindless chaos map like we saw on Babylon and the strike maps in the BO6 beta. Just like the points I made earlier, one of the main reasons COD had extreme success just from the multiplayer side of things between 2007 and 2012 is the fact that there were extremely peaked multiplayer map design. Every map played well on objective game modes where you could make strategic plays. The maps were great for kill streaks and score streaks. They had memorable, enticing, immersive atmospheres. And so much more could be said about why they were successful. But then you look at this map pool we have for Black Ops 6, and they are mostly going to be XP grinders where the objective just does not matter. Your win-loss ratio in this base multiplayer is not going to matter because of these maps. You can't be immersed in the atmosphere of a map when 1 second after spawning, you're either kill or be killed. So there's no chance for you to take in and observe your surroundings. There will be no strategic mindset when it comes to playing these maps. And half of these small maps, which are the strike maps, won't even have streaks allowed on them. And I didn't even think about it until just now, but how are any of these maps even going to be viable competitive maps for ranked play? Now, I'm by no means a competitive Call of Duty player, but I do enjoy getting on ranked with my friends every once in a while and, you know, trying to grind through the rank. But almost all of these maps seem like they're going to be too small to even be considered a competitive ranked play map. I mean, we can automatically cut off these bottom 4 maps since they are strike maps. I think we can cross out Derelict because even though it's considered a medium-sized map by Treyarch, you can watch any gameplay of it and see that it plays way too fast. You can get to the center of the map within 5 seconds. We can get rid of Subsonic and Babylon because they are pretty much the exact same concept of being a small chaotic map. And then I think we can go ahead and cross off Vault because even though it's described as a medium map and actually looks like it might have a decent layout, it looks like it also might be small as Farm 18 from Modern Warfare 2 2022, which we all know just couldn't be a ranked play map. And I really wouldn't want the map Lowtown because it seems like it has a lot of water and a lot of water flanks on the map. And I think too much of that can, you know, be pretty bad for competitive play. And finally, I really don't think I'd want to see Vorkuta or Payback because they almost look like they're closer to being a 2-lane map rather than a 3-lane map, which could be very horrible for the balance. And that leaves maybe 5 maps that could barely be considered a ranked play map. Having weak maps over the majority of the past 4 to 5 years of COD multiplayer has extremely hurt the morale of the game because it, among other things, has made COD multiplayer seem like a chore to play instead of a game that you can hop on and just have a fun time. It has seemed like a recent trend in COD multiplayer is to have as many small maps as possible for people to grind only XP, camo, and kills on, instead of having an actual foundation of solid 6v6 multiplayer maps to have that fun traditional COD 6v6 multiplayer experience that made the series so successful in the first place. And that really hurts the replayability of COD multiplayer, I believe. Because I know myself for sure cannot play these small, chaotic, mindless maps for a long period of time without it becoming extremely mundane and annoying. Meanwhile, I could play these older COD maps for hours on end because of the gameplay, the strategy, the objective play, and just the overall atmosphere of most of the classic maps between that period of 2007 to 2012. And I know there are more maps after that period that were really good. I'm just using that because that really was the time when COD was at its best in terms of the multiplayer experience. And I fear that this is something that Black Ops 6 is going to lack this year due to over half of the map pool being these small map experiences. It'll be hard to ever have a match where you can genuinely have a fun strategic maps of COD on a memorable immersive map. And this very well could kill Black Ops 6 multiplayer by taking away its replayability for so many people. Now we also need to be asking the question of why Treyarch decided to make these decisions when it comes to the map design of Black Ops 6, and we are actually going to be going over that in a separate video in the near future. So be sure to subscribe and join the discussion when that video does come out. And go ahead and let me know in the comments if anything in this video concerns you about Black Ops 6 multiplayer, or maybe you don't mind at all having all these small maps in Call of Duty multiplayer and it's something that, you know, you're okay with and it won't really hurt replayability for you. Either way, let me know your feelings in the comments below. But anyway, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Have a blessed day and I'll catch you guys in the next one.